Hi, I'm Ashley. I work for the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center. Today I want to share with you something that you'll find at the museum when you visit. It's in our People Are Places exhibit, and it's a cedar sculpture created by Richard Beyer. The title of the sculpture is Coyote Leads a Salmon Up the River. And you can actually see a cast aluminum version of this sculpture at Walla Walla Point Park as well. In Native American storytelling tradition, the coyote is heard in many stories, and along the Columbia River, he's often heard about helping the salmon. So in this particular story, there are salmon trapped for days behind a dam created by 5 swallow sisters. And because of the dam, there are people starving upstream, and the coyote is worried about the people, so he decides to disguise himself as a helpless baby so that the sisters will take him home and care for him. Then, for 5 days, while they're out gathering roots, he works to destroy the dam. But by the time the sisters discover what the coyote is doing, it's too late, because the salmon have discovered the hole in the dam and are already swimming away upstream. While Coyote is leading them upstream, he rewards villages who help him along the way by creating rapids and narrow places along the river so that they can fish. And he promises the people if they honor the salmon, then they will return every year. For today's artistic creation lesson, we are going to create a coyote mask and some paper fish so that you can recreate the story of Coyote leading the salmon at home. All you need is some paper, scissors, glue, a pencil, and some string. So gather what you need and let's go. So here I have gathered all my supplies. I have several different kinds of paper. Mostly these are just regular weight paper or some construction paper. You could even use cardstock. This is cardstock. So just gather whatever you have around the house. Here I have just 5 different kinds of paper, but you use whatever you have. And first we're gonna make the outline of the coyote mask, and I'm going to use my largest piece of paper for that. All right, so what I'm going to do with this is fold it in half first. So here I'm folding it in half and making a crease. And then I have drawn a heart kind of shape. The only difference is the ears are more pointed rather than round, and then the chin is round instead of pointed, so it's kind of opposite of a heart. But this way I've folded in half and only drawn it on one side so that when I cut it out, we will have the shape of a coyote. Open it up and we have a nice coyote's head shape here. And then what we're gonna do is grab another piece of paper, and we're going to create kind of a strip where the fur is different around his nose and up to his ears. So to do that, again, I'm gonna fold in half. So what I'm going to do is measure, put this down at the bottom where his nose is, and then up to the top about where his ear starts up here. So I'm just going to make a mark here, and what I will do is make a strip, cut out a long strip, and also a curved point here that goes up to the top of his ears. So it's kind of a T, but we're only seeing half of it here. It's kind of a funny shaped T with a little beak at the top there. So let's see how that works. All right, So that's what that looks like. Once you're done, you have points that come out to the tips of his ears. You have the top of his head here, and this comes all the way down to his nose. Speaking of his nose, I'm just going to cut out a little nose shape from my black paper here. So I'm not even going to trace this. I'm just going to draw or cut out a little circle here. You can draw it or you can trace something. It's kind of, you know, like a puppy's nose. It's not completely round, so that's okay. It's going to kind of teardrop up to the top. For a flat part up there. And once I get it about the right size, it will just cover there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these parts on to my coyote's face. And I'm just have a stick of glue here. And that a little bit more on the tip there. I think this guy needs some over here. All right, and then I'm going to glue on my nose. Down there. Perfect. All right, so what I'm going to do next is cut out the eyes, and to do that I'm just going to make a shape here that I'm going to cut out on each side. So it's just a little hole here for his eyes. And I'm just going to fold that in half there. Use my scissors to just cut this out. And I don't want to cut this part, so I'm just going to take what I've cut here and I'm going to fold it back there, and then I'm going to cut on this side so I don't cut any of that other paper out. Once you have one side cut out, all you have to do is fold it in half, and you can trace the opening on the other side so that you can cut out an eye in the same spot so they're symmetrical. That means that they look the same on both sides, so both your eyes will be the same shape. And again, I'm just going to fold this part under here so I can cut it out on the back side. There we go. Now I want a little bit his ears to stand out a little bit more, so I'm going to take this same color that I used here, and I'm just going to and I have it double so I can just do it once. I'm going to draw the shape of his ear over here. Just trace it and cut that out. So we have two of them. Then I am going to take those and just glue them back behind the ear, and that will make this ear kind of be highlighted, just stand out a little bit more. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Glue that there. All right, so now I want to add just some embellishments to his face just to give him character, and you can do whatever you want. I'm going to take this blue paper that I folded in half to get two and make some triangles that I'm going to just glue right to his cheekbones here. Those are kind of fun. And this paper is already pretty decorative. So that's all I'm going to do to his face. Just add a fun little mark to his cheeks. I like that. Finally, I'm going to make these little markings for his bridge of his nose here. So I'm going to, again, fold this paper in half. And then I'm going to make these V shapes. Just going to do 2 lines there and then cut across. And that's good. So I'm going to do several different sizes. So I'm just going to keep going along here and cutting to get that same shape and making it a little bit smaller every time. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and glue those in place. I think he's looking pretty good. So the final step is just attaching string so that I can wear my mask. And if you had a sharp pencil, you could just poke a hole in. My pencil is a bit dull. So I have a hole punch here, and I'm just going to use a hole punch here to make my holes right there, kind of by the eyes. And I have some string here, so I'm just going to cut a length of string that I can attach on each side. And if your hole is smaller, you could probably just knot it to keep it from coming through. Mine with the hole punch is too big with this thin string, so it depends on what string you have and how big a hole you have, if that will work. And I think I'm just going to attach the other side here, and then I'll just cut the string in half so that then I can tie it on. So there you go. This is what my coyote mask looks like. Now let's go make some paper fish. Now that we've made our coyote mask, we are going to make some salmon, some paper fish to go with them. So I have a couple pieces of square construction paper, and I have another contrasting color, and I also have some white and black because that is going to be what I use to make the eyes. So to get started, I'm going to start with one of my square pieces of paper, and I'm going to fold it in half so it makes a triangle. I'm going to crease it right down the middle. And then I'm going to open it up and fold it like when you make a paper airplane. Just going to fold this side in to the crease, and then I'm going to crease that edge, and then I'm going to bring this side in also, right to the fold. Once I have that done, I'm going to open it up, and I am going to take my scissors, and I'm going to round off this point here. This is the mouth of the fish. So I'm just going to take a little bit off here, just kind of round off the tip there. Then I am going to fold it in half one time. So leave these folds open, And here, I am going to start over here on this end, not the mouth. This is where the mouth will be. This will be the tail. And I am just going to make little cuts down to that half fold line. So I'm just going to cut all the way through to that fold line. And I'm just going to go a little bit over halfway along the edge, and each time I'm going to go to that fold. And once you've passed halfway a little ways, I think that's probably good enough. You're going to stop, open them up, and then we are just going to glue these two sides together. So and then you have a tail that moves. Next, I'm going to take the extra paper and I'm going to cut a U shape where the bottom of the mouth will be. So I'm just going to take my pencil and mark here for how wide the mouth is. And then I'm just going to cut a U out of this and we could just fold it in half if we wanted to make it right. It doesn't have to be perfectly the same, but there we have a bottom jaw for our fish. So then I'm just going to glue that in. Next, I'm going to take my contrasting paper and I'm going to fold it in half. And then I'm going to cut out a couple hearts, one bigger than the other. And these I'm going to use for his fins. So that's a bigger one. So I'm going to do another heart about the same shape, but just a little bit smaller. With these, I'm going to glue the smaller one on his tail. And I'm going to open this up and cut it in half along that crease line. And these are the fins. So then I'm going to glue those on the side. And I'm going to take this paper and I'm going to cut out another U shape that's a little bit smaller than the last one, so I can put it inside of the mouth. So it's just not quite as wide. I'm going to just glue that right on in. Now all that's left is to add some eyes. If you want to just use marker to draw eyes on, you can do that. What I'm going to do is make some eyes out of some paper. So I'm going to take this lid of my glue and I'm going to trace around it to give myself a circle. This little piece of paper is folded in half, so I will get 2 of these. And I'm going to trace again on this one. I want the black pupils to be a little smaller, so I'm going to trace the same shape because it's easy right here next to me. But then I'm just going to cut inside of the line I drew, keeping the same shape but making a smaller circle. And when you're done creating the eyes, you just glue them on the side of his head. And there you have a salmon for your story. And you can make as many of these as you want. Thank you for joining me for this artistic creation lesson. I hope you have fun playing Coyote Leads the Salmon Up the River, and I hope you'll visit the museum. We're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 10 to 4, and you can see the sculpture that this craft was inspired by. And you can also learn more about the Wenatchee tribe and the history and culture of the indigenous people who first lived, worked, and played in our region. Bye!